Discover the incredible wives of the 12 tribes, shocking truths revealed about God's plan. In the 3rd year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, the king of Judah, a man named Jacob journeyed from the land of Canaan to Haran, escaping the wrath of his brother Esau, his heart a tumult of fear and regret. As he arrived under the starry expanse, the air was thick with the scent of damp earth and distant pastures. Jacob approached the well ignited by anticipation, weary with the weight of his past choices. It was then, as dawn broke over the horizon, that the sun spilled its golden light across gentle hills. There emerged Rachel, Laban's younger daughter, whose unblemished beauty captured Jacob's heart in that instant. In this ancient culture, filled with the customs of dowry and intricate familial networks, Laban's scheming thoughts flattered his ambitions as he devised plans to bind Jacob to his household through labor. After 7 long years under Laban's watchful eye, Jacob celebrated his union with Leah, Laban's eldest daughter. But Leah's eyes, filled with the shadow of neglect, spoke volumes of unrequited love. Despite her pain, Leah's faith in God glimmered like a distant star. She believed her worth rested in the lineage she could produce for Jacob, longing for his affection, which was fixed instead on her sister, Rachel. As Leah bore Jacob her first son, Reuben, she rejoiced even as disappointment shadowed her heart. "Surely my husband will love me now," she whispered, igniting the fierce rivalry between her and Rachel, who longed for her turns in motherhood. In desperation, Rachel offered Bilhah, her maid, to Jacob as a surrogate. The birth of Dan enveloped their household in strife, a cacophony of waves, both filled with wishes and the weight of woes. The fray intensified when Leah responded in kind, presenting her maid, Zilpah, to Jacob, resulting in the births of Gad and Asher. With each child came laughter, yet the echoes of rivalry and heartache clung to the air, wresting joy from their claimed blessings. Each child born carried the whispers of their struggles of faith, encapsulating Leah's yearning for Jacob's love alongside Rachel's bitterness for her childless arms. Finally, God remembered Rachel, and she bore Joseph, a child viewed as a glimmer of hope, a fulfillment of divine promise. The joy swept through the tent like a rush of healing waters, a turning of tables in the hearts of Leah and Rachel alike. Each birth was not merely a child, but a thread woven into God's larger tapestry. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select All Notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. The sun dipped beneath the horizon once more, casting long shadows that mingled with the laughter of children, a mix of blessings and burdens. Jacob's lineage had begun, yet in the tapestry of family life, a question lingered in the air: what future did God hold for these women, each intricately woven into his plan while wrestling with desire and despair? As the promise of the 12 tribes emerged from the ashes of rivalry and heartache, the complexity of God's purpose beckoned deeper exploration. The tale of Jacob, Leah, and Rachel had only ignited, weaving together a story rich with divine intention and mystery still to unfold. And it came to pass that as the seasons rolled on and the sun rose and set over the tents of Jacob, the fabric of their lives continued to be woven with threads of trials and triumphs. Rachel, having experienced both the sweetness of motherhood and the bitterness of struggle, cradled her son Joseph close, whispering prayers of gratitude into his tiny ears. "May you be a blessing to your father and a light in this household," she spoke softly, her heart yearning for the promise that would extend beyond her own joys. Yet Leah, though blessed with numbers, the fruits of her womb emerging like a garden bursting forth, began to feel the weight of her own loneliness despite the births of Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Her heart was heavy with the knowledge that Jacob's gaze strayed toward Rachel, igniting within her a fierce desire not only for his love but for a place in the greater narrative that God was weaving through their lives. "If only my husband could see me, truly see me," Leah sighed, feeling the burdens of a mother's heart amidst the shadows of rivalry. In the quiet of dusk, Leah approached Jacob. "Give me my due, husband," she said, the tremor in her voice betraying her strength. "Let me find favor in your eyes, if not for my sake, then for our children's." Her eyes sought his, filled with earnest longing and humility. Jacob looked at her with a furrowed brow, understanding the turmoil that simmered beneath the surface of their strange union. "Am I in the place of God?" he answered, pondering the fate of his wives. "Can I deny you what you seek?" But Rachel, ignited by jealousy and fervor, called out in protest, "Give me children, or I die." Her voice, steeped in anguish, poured forth a deeper plea, a cry of both a mother and a warrior, desperate for validation and the legacy they were crafting for the generations to come. Then Leah, moved by Rachel's anguish, said, "Behold my maid Zilpah, go unto her and she shall bear children in my stead." And so it was, that in this fierce battle of unwavering faith and tender longing, Zilpah bore Jacob 2 more sons, Gad and Asher. The mood within the tent was a tempest, Rachel's heart tempered with a flicker of hope as names echoed across the dust. "The Lord has favored me," Leah proclaimed, toasting the victories amidst emotional strife. Yet in the midst of these blessings, Rachel's heart consulted the heavens, praying, "O Lord, remember me and look upon my plight." As the days turned into moonlit nights, an ever-present tension wove thickly within the family, pushing Rachel to an ultimate act of desperation. In a bid to share in Leah's newfound blessings, she too presented her maid, Bilhah, to Jacob, a plea echoing through the silence, stirring the pot of their anguish. Bilhah became the vessel for further blessings, birthing Dan and Naphtali, names steeped in the remembrance of strife and victory. Jacob stood at the intersection of their lives, piecing together each story, each name like a divine puzzle unfurling before his eyes. Yet in the distance, a whisper lingered in the stillness. God's promise still echoed within Jacob's dreams. "A nation shall emerge from you, and kings shall arise from your line." As the stars twinkled above their tents nestled in the heart of Haran, God's sovereign plan shimmered just beyond their grasp, filled with prophetic wonders yet untold. And so, with every birth and each name uttered from the lips of mothers, a covenant was being unfolded, a tapestry of hope woven through trials, setting the stage for a destiny greater than any could comprehend. As the midnight oil burned, questions loomed heavily in the air. What future would be secured for these sons, descendants of strife and faith? What blessings and burdens lay ahead for the children of Jacob, born of the fertile soil of dreams, rivalry, and divine purpose? But what they didn't realize was that the greatest struggle had yet to come, for within the womb of time, the greatest promise awaited its birth, a promise that would alter the course of nations. And it came to pass that as the days grew longer and the tents of Jacob filled with both laughter and tears, the discord among the wives did not dissipate but struck deeper roots, entangling their hearts like thorny vines. Rachel, still burning with desire for motherhood, drew ever closer to the grace of her son Joseph, yet the longing for more echoed incessantly within her soul. "O God," she cried, "if I can bless you above all, let my womb be a wellspring of life." Meanwhile, Leah, mindful of her own worth, pondered the sons that had thus far filled her arms. Reuben, the eldest, had eyes like the sea and a spirit like the morning sun. With Simeon, fierce as a lion, and Levi, strong in purpose, and with Judah shining like a star amidst the dark, she felt emboldened in her motherhood yet was haunted by the specter of Jacob's affection straying to Rachel. Each child became not only a blessing but a reminder of the love that felt permanently out of reach. In an instance of divine awareness, Jacob stood at the gates of his burgeoning household, contemplating how the heart of a man is often a labyrinth entwined in the affections of many. He loved Rachel dearly but could not ignore the depth of Leah's heartache. "How can I nurture love where envy grows?" he mused, praying for wisdom that only God could offer. Then it was that Leah, emboldened by her children and guided by a burning zeal to feel loved, came upon an idea. "Let us hold a feast, Jacob," she proposed, her voice laced with hope. "Let every child take pride in his name, and let that name be known as a testimony of our family's strength." Jacob, desiring peace, agreed, and soon the griddle was set ablaze with bread and robuster notes of merrymaking hung in the air. But even then, the shadows of rivalry continued to loom. Rachel, fiery and relentless, grew restless. "What feast is this if I give you all I have and my womb remains empty?" she lamented to Jacob, who could only offer embrace and kind words. It was not long before she called upon Bilhah once more, saying, "Let her be my voice in this weary fight for favor, for my soul is lost without the assurance of children." Bilhah, hearing her mistress call, became a willing servant once more, bearing forth another son, whom Rachel named Zilpah. "Competing is the only way I find joy in this home," Rachel proclaimed. And in the tension of sibling rivalry, each name bore the legacy of both love and heartache, a testament to the complexities of their lives. As the family gathered to celebrate the children's names, a true feast before the Lord, Judah's laughter rang like a melody, while Joseph's coos were infused with heavenly anticipation. The blessings seemed poured abundantly, yet beneath the surface, envy festered. The very atmosphere thickened with unspoken words, and the Lord observed the posturing of hearts. And in that moment of revelry, a divine whisper echoed through the ages. "A nation shall emerge not merely in numbers, but through the legacy of these children," spoke the Spirit to Jacob as he turned inward. "Behind the veil of rivalry lies my sovereign purpose." Thus, unbeknownst to all, the greatest of births awaited the family of Jacob, where through trials and grace, with every spoken name and every glisten of tears, the orchestration of destiny whispered of a great deliverance. How they could not see the hands of providence at work! For in time, God would reveal his children not just as sons of Leah or Rachel but as vessels of a covenant that would alter the very foundations of humanity. What came would not just be sons, but leaders whose names would ring out through biblical history, and from the depths of their strife would rise a legacy of hope. And so, the stage remained set, with hearts entwined and the promise of a future on the horizon. The paths that each son would tread were yet unknown, but God's plan unfurled, waiting for the time appointed to reveal the ultimate tapestry of his glory. And it came to pass that after the feast, the days turned into weeks, and the fabric of envy wove tighter, ensnaring the hearts of Rachel and Leah once more. Rachel, ever yearning, called out again to the Lord. "O God of my fathers, hear my voice," she cried with desperation. "Do not let my barren womb be a testament to my shame. Grant me the fruit of the womb, that I may share the joy of motherhood." And Leah, perceiving Rachel's sorrow, felt both compassion and the weight of her own struggling heart. As time passed, she bore another son, and she named him Issachar, proclaiming, "God has rewarded me for my labor, giving me a son in my toil." In her joy, she turned towards Rachel's heartache, yet the shadows of rivalry continued to dance in the corners of their lives like phantoms, ever haunting. "May my days not drown in bitterness," Leah mused, but her eyes searched Jacob's countenance for the love that felt elusive. On the other hand, Rachel, who felt the sting of despair, turned once more to Bilhah, yet again seeking to augment her own standing in the household. "Behold my maid," she declared, "for she shall be the vessel of my desire." Thus Bilhah bore another son, whom Rachel named Dan, saying, "God has judged me and granted me my petition." Yet in the depths of Rachel's heart, a restlessness grew, her hands clasping the son she held, while her mind wandered into sorrowful victory. Meanwhile, the sons of Leah played in the fields, their bonds of brotherhood growing stronger as they shared in the tasks of the day. Levi, becoming a man of valor, stood tall among them, while Judah, whose spirit shone like the rising stars, began to lead them in more than just play. "We shall be a fierce tribe," he proclaimed, "for our days are filled with the joy that God has given in our names." And as the sun dipped low on the horizon, a gathering of voices rose in laughter beneath the stars. In that moment, the Lord gazed upon the family gathered, observing how the heart of each woman intertwined with the ambitions and dreams of man. The divine purpose remained veiled yet vibrantly alive, issuing forth like a whisper on the wind. Yet tumult lay in wait. The night bore witness as envy slumbered not, stirring deep within Rachel's heart. Am I to remain in this contest while others bear the delight of my hope? She lamented. And in those shadows, a sense of divine urgency began to stir. Then suddenly, in the depths of silence, the voice of God broke through the stillness. Fear not, daughter Rachel, for the time will come when your name shall be called blessed among women. I shall remember you, and from your womb shall seed a great nation. Rachel's heart leaped at the promise, though she felt still the weight of silence in the days to come, and with earnest she prayed for revelation. O Lord, she spoke softly, let your will be done in my life, for my soul longs to be filled with your blessings. And Leah, too, in her enduring strength, faced the bitterness that had previously clouded her spirit. May we all draw strength from our differences, she stated with newfound clarity, realizing that their struggles might serve a greater purpose than their hearts could perceive. Thus, the days continued to unfold, the light of the dawn revealing the pouring of divine destiny, as God's fingers intricately wove together the lives of these women, the mothers of the tribes. For in this tapestry of strife and longing, God was not inactive, his hands were guiding the unseen, molding leaders and prophets from the very fabric of this family's longs and tears. And so it was that the heavens echoed a promise, though their hearts may clash and their paths entwine in struggle, through them, a great deliverance awaits, one that shall change the course of many generations. Little did they know of the unfolding tale about to arise from their discord and hope, an ark inevitably bound for a new covenant yet revealed. And it came to pass that the seasons turned, for the earth was abundant with growth, while hearts within the tents were barren, each woman seeking favor from the God who hears. Rachel, still in her longing, felt a deep stirring in her spirit. She sought out Leah, her sister whom she had regarded as both adversary and kin. Let us come before the Lord, Rachel proposed, that we may plead for his favor together. And Leah, though wearied by her own trials, nodded in agreement, for their hearts were drawn together by a common need. They approached the altar they had erected in reverence, placing their hands upon its stones as they prayed with one voice. O Lord, our God, creator of the heavens and the earth, they cried in unison, we beseech you. Look upon us. Let your mercy shine upon our family, for we desire to bear forth children, to raise a generation that will honor your name. Days turned into nights again, but their prayers remained unanswered, causing despair to creep into their hearts once more. Leah bore yet another son, naming him Zebulun, and exclaiming, Now my husband will dwell with me, for I have borne him 6 sons. Yet with each birth, she felt the tension with Rachel deepen, as jealousy continued to tighten its grip around Rachel's heart. Then Rachel, in her desperation, turned to her servant Bilhah once more. Come, my maid, she declared, I implore you, be my vessel for my pain and give birth upon my knees that I may also have children through you. Bilhah complied, and soon she bore Rachel a son, whom Rachel named Naphtali, proclaiming, I have wrestled with my sister and prevailed. Yet peace remained elusive, for Leah watched the quickening pace of rivalry flare once more. With each son Rachel claimed through her maid, Leah's heart sank deeper, a tumult brewing beneath the surface. In her anguish, Leah sought the Lord, crying out, Will my own flesh breed discord eternally? Days were filled with a fervor that caused both sisters to reflect upon the promises given to them, a heritage to be blessed among nations and tribes, but all the while they felt ensnared in their personal contest of motherhood. Time passed, and the nights fluttered by like shadows, full of whispered prayers and yearning. On one such night, as the stars blanketed the heavens, the Lord appeared unto Rachel in a dream. The time of your rejoicing draws near, daughter Rachel, for I have heard your cries. Your wait shall not be in vain, from your womb shall arise a leader for my people. Awakened by the promise, Rachel felt a new strength surge within her. She called unto Leah, and together, they acknowledged the presence of God in their plight. May we lay aside our rivalry, Leah spoke with newfound resolve, for what shall become of us is a part of God's greater plan unknown to our eyes. Perhaps he seeks to show in our struggles the depths of his grace. In that moment, their hearts softened, and they recognized that through their tribulations, they were being drawn closer to one another, not just as sisters but as co-laborers in the unfolding story of their lineage. The promise of the Lord hung in the air, delicate yet potent. Yet beyond the dawn, a greater revelation awaited. As Rachel began to sense the movement of life within her womb, God's plan for a nation was stirring. Little did they know that the bittersweet contest soon to reach its climax would herald the coming of one destined to lead not just the tribes but all humanity towards redemption. And so the stage was set for the incredible unfolding of divine destiny, echoed the winds, for through the paths of strife and tears shall come forth a story immeasurably rich, a lineage traced through sands of time to the very heart of salvation. And it came to pass in the days that followed that Rachel could feel the weight of the promise nestled within her womb, a sacred trust bestowed upon her by the God who sees and knows the depths of her heart. Her spirit, once heavy with envy and despair, began to soar with hopes held aloft by the Lord's word. Despite the stirring joy within her, turmoil continued to mark the lives of the sisters. Leah, whose heart had long been grieved by the rivalry, found herself in a fit of sudden determination. She approached Rachel with earnest eyes, saying, "Let us reaffirm our purpose and the bond of our family. For the Lord has given us a legacy that surpasses our struggles." In unity, they returned to the altar, honoring their supplications. "O God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob," they cried aloud, "we present ourselves before you once more. Grant us wisdom as we bear the weight of this legacy, let your will reign sovereign over our hearts." Days turned into weeks, and Leah pondered the words she had spoken. The lessons they garnered from hardship began softening the bitter edges of their experiences. Rachel's growing belly became a beacon of hope, both sisters' voices lifted in faith, buoyed by a shared desire to see the promise realized not just in the birth of children, but in a legacy that would endure. Then it was that Rachel bore a child, a son who would be named Joseph, which means "may he add," for she proclaimed, "The Lord has taken away my reproach and has given me this gift. May he continue to add to my blessings." And the joy that erupted from her heart reverberated in the tent, drawing Leah closer to her sister, yet again altering the currents of their relationship. But even as joy filled their hearts, the battle of spirits that had long plagued them was not yet over. Leah watched with a mixture of joy and trepidation, as she felt the shadows of rivalry creeping back upon the threshold of their tent. The years of contest subsided into a strange cohabitation of sorrow and celebration intertwined, reminding them of God's intricate design even in discord. Increasingly aware of this divine tapestry being woven, Leah approached Rachel with composure. "Rachel," she spoke gently, "know that my heart beats for the well-being of our family, and the blessings of sons do not diminish or negate what the Lord has silently spoken into your life." Rachel listened intently, her heart swelling with understanding. Her spirit began to grasp the notion that their lives were not merely laced with competition, they were a part of a narrative far greater than either could foresee. "Sisters, may we trust in the unfolding plan of the Almighty, for our struggles may yet seed a harvest beyond our imagination." And thus, with the dawn breaking upon the horizon, God's voice resonated within the hearts of both women, beckoning them towards a unity that transcended flesh. They lifted their heads, aware now not merely of themselves, but of the generations yet to come, one of which would lead a nation toward divine promise and hope. Yet hidden within their shared triumph lay the stirring of a future, one that held deeper revelations yet to unfold in the annals of their lineage, a legacy that would mark history and resonate in the echoes of salvation, hinting at the heart of God's sovereign plan yet to be fully revealed. Little did they know, their children, the driving force of their faith, would become pivotal in the unfolding of prophecies that had been whispered through the ages, pointing toward a time when the greatest deliverer would emerge, promising not just an inheritance, but eternal life itself. And it came to pass after the birth of Joseph that Rachel's heart was filled with praise to the Lord, and she glorified him, saying, "The Lord has visited me with joy, and I will proclaim his wonders to the ends of the earth." But Rachel's joy was tempered with the weight of longing, for she yearned for another child. Day and night her heart poured forth prayers, and she sought the presence of the Most High with fervent desire. "O God," she cried, "I am but a vessel, and in you are all the blessings of life. If you see fit, grant me another son." Leah, ever attentive to her sister's spirit, took counsel within herself. She recalled her own challenges and the pain she had endured, for she had already borne 4 sons, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Noticing the descent of rivalry threatening to rise once more, she resolved to approach Rachel with gentleness. "Beloved sister," Leah spoke softly, "let us not be consumed by our past sorrows. The Lord's faithfulness is new each day. May we rejoice in his provision and encourage one another in faith." Thus, the 2 sisters, though bound by a tapestry of tension, began to recalibrate their hearts, seeking to honor one another rather than dwell on the calamities of the past. Yet, the depths of unfulfilled desires remained a collective burden that both sensed beneath their budding unity. As the seasons turned, Rachel found herself in the throes of desperation. In the stillness of the evening, her voice lifted in a desperate plea, "Lord, if you will hear me, grant this desire of my heart. Do not forsake the mother who seeks to glorify you with her children." And lo, the Lord, who was faithful to his promises, hearkened to her cry. In time, Rachel would conceive again and bear another son, naming him Benjamin, meaning son of my right hand. She decreed, "The Lord has dealt graciously with me, now my joy reaches to the heavens. May this child be a blessing unto Israel." But even as joyous proclamations filled the tent, a shadow loomed over the hearts of the sisters. Leah's heart quivered with both delight and apprehension as she considered the weight of the promises intertwined with their children's futures. Leah herself felt a stirring in her womb, the atmosphere grew thick with expectation as she waylaid her thoughts and sought the Lord earnestly. One fateful night, Leah caught a glimpse of the promise unfolding before her, understanding that her personal struggles were merely threads in a far greater design orchestrated by the divine weaver. "Yet, Lord, I beseech you," she prayed, "let not my heart's desires blind me to the beautiful purpose that you have for us, even in our trials." As the moon hung brightly over the encampment, divine whispers of destiny filled the air. The sons of Jacob began to form the foundation of a nation. Each child, a manifestation of hope, each name, a promise echoing the heart of God throughout generations. And thus, with deepening awareness, the sisters, though at times at odds, began to glimpse the greater narrative at play, a legacy woven by the hand of God that would soar beyond the valleys of their days. Little did they know that these humble beginnings would shape nations. The future bore witness to promises of inheritance, a people whose plight would be pivotal in the story of salvation. How the tapestry would unfold remained cloaked in the mysteries of heaven. The whispers of the future stirred a longing in their souls. For even amidst their struggles, God's sovereign plan loomed on the horizon, ready to reveal a story that would transform hearts forever, pointing to a promise of a deliverer arising from their lineage. And it came to pass after Benjamin's birth that Rachel's heart overflowed with gratitude. Yet, as she nursed her son, the weight of both joy and sorrow settled within her soul. The journey of motherhood, though a source of delight, did not erase the shadows cast by her earlier trials. She marveled at what the Lord had granted her, yet she remained deeply aware of the strife between her and Leah. In her bitterness, Rachel sought to understand the hand of God in all things. "What, O Lord, is your divine will?" she pondered, observing the children of Leah thriving while her own were few. The tension in the tent was palpable, and she longed for reassurance that the path laid before them was indeed part of a divine promise. Leah, whose heart was humbled by her own blessings, sensed Rachel's grief. "Sister," she said, with a voice gentle yet firm, "our children bear witness to the faithfulness of God. Each of them has a purpose beyond our eyes. May we not speak ill of our lot, but rather lift our hearts to the heavens, trusting in his divine order." Yet, the rivalry that had marked their relationship stirred once again, leaving Leah to question if truly they were co-laborers in this divine story. She turned her gaze to her sons, and her spirit longed for peace that transcended the strife. She gathered herself for prayer, asking the Lord to unite their hearts. "Make us one, O God, and let our children be vessels of your glory." As the days turned to weeks, an unusual stillness enveloped the camp. The presence of God seemed to draw near, enveloping the air with a holy hush. In this sacred moment, Jacob approached with a somber mind, for he had dreamed a revelation from the Lord. "I have seen a ladder reaching to the heavens," he declared, "and the angels of God ascending and descending upon it." The Lord spoke, affirming the covenant made with Abraham, Isaac, and myself, promising a nation from your descendants. The words pierced the hearts of both Leah and Rachel, awakening a deeper desire to understand their roles in such a magnificent plan. "Thus, this is no mere tale of rivalry," Leah whispered, her heart racing. "We are instruments in the fulfillment of the Lord's covenant." Rachel, with eyes widened in awe, felt the stirrings of a greater mystery unfolding. "Lord, grant us wisdom," she prayed softly. "Help us to guide our sons in the paths you have set before them. Let us not falter in our faith, nor lose sight of the promises tied to our lineage." In the following days, the two sisters sought to discern the will of God, their steps ever more deliberate in nurturing their children. They taught them the ways of the Lord, instilling in them the values that would carry them forward upon the land. As Jacob continued to thrive, gathering wealth and dependence, the voices of his sons echoed prayers of hope, aspirations that stirred the hearts of the people around them. Even as the children grew, tensions remained rooted in the legacy of their mothers. God's sovereign plan was slowly unfurling, and unseen forces awaited their revelation. Each child, though being formed by the hands of their mothers, was destined to reflect facets of the divine glory, calling them to rise above their human strife. Thus, as seasons turned, and Israel expanded into a people of note, the story carved through the pages of time began to weave itself into the great tapestry of redemption, hinting at an unfolding promise what legacy would spring forth from these intricate lives. And what divine purpose lay hidden in the intricate lore of their ancestry. The faithful awaited, wondering if these lives bound in conflict would give rise to a hope that transcended the ages. And it came to pass that as the children of Jacob began to grow strong in body and spirit, the land around them abounded with blessings. Livestock flourished, and the flocks multiplied, bringing both wealth and prestige to their father. Yet amidst these tangible blessings, the hearts of Rachel and Leah remained entangled in a web of rivalry and longing. Rachel, unable to silence the ache of her heart, cried out to the Lord, saying, "O God of my fathers, why has my womb remained barren for so long? Grant me children, lest I die." Her plea echoed through the chambers of her spirit, heavy with the impatience of a faith that battled with despair. Leah, who perceived the fervor of Rachel's lament, responded with a heart stirred by compassion. "Sister, do not lose hope in the mercies of the Most High. For in His time, He will fulfill the promise spoken to us." "I too have known the pangs of longing," she confessed, recalling moments of her own deep sorrows, "and yet, I have found Him to be faithful, even in the waiting." As Rachel listened, her heart stirred with the flicker of encouragement. Together, they lifted their voices in prayer, seeking wisdom and reassurance that they were indeed part of a glorious story yet to unfold. Not long after, Jacob returned from the fields one evening, weary but filled with a spirit of purpose. He called to his wives, saying, "Let us come before the Lord, for He has greatly multiplied our resources and made our names known amongst the tribes. We shall feast and present our thanks to Him." At the gathering, Rachel, overwhelmed by her yearning for children, sought the counsel of her husband. "Give me sons, or else I die," she implored Jacob's heart, her eyes glistening with desperation. Jacob's brow furrowed, and he replied with gentle firmness, "Am I in the place of God, who has withheld from you the fruit of your womb?" Yet, deeply moved by Rachel's anguish, Jacob knew that what she desired was not merely the birth of sons, but a heritage enriched with the promises of God. He drew close to her, whispering words of hope that ignited a flickering flame within her soul. "Let us pray together and seek His face, for in Him, all things are possible." As they prayed, the air thickened with anticipation, and a loud cry echoed through the camp. It was Rachel's handmaid, Bilhah, who had been entrusted the sacred task to bear children in Rachel's name. Her heart raced, and her voice trembled as she declared, "Rachel, God has heard your prayer, I carry within me a son." With this announcement, Rachel's heart soared, yet the longing for a child of her own remained. "This is the child of my prayers, the answer from heaven. she rejoiced. Meanwhile, Leah, upon hearing the news, felt a tumult of emotions, both joy for her sister and a deeper yearning of her own. Is it possible, Lord, that in our rivalry, we may find a path to unity? She pondered. In the days to come, as Bilhah bore children, Leah's heart began to soften towards Rachel. They no longer stood as rivals but as co-authors of a sacred narrative, each child born unto Jacob carrying a part of their story. As Jacob fathered more sons through Bilhah and Leah, the fabric of their family grew more intricate and filled with God's design. And so, the 12 tribes began to take shape, each name interwoven with the legacy of their mothers and the unfolding story of God's great promise. Yet, amid their growth, whispers of conflict and divine destiny lingered on the horizon, echoing a truth yet to be realized. What transformation awaited the children born of this tumultuous lineage? And how would God's purposes unfold through the trials, triumphs, and intertwining paths of these faithful women? The heavens stirred with anticipation as the mystery of the ages awaited its divine revelation. And it came to pass that the pangs of labor welled within Rachel as her dreams coalesced into reality. One bright morning, bathed in the warmth of sunlight, she felt the stirring of life anew. "O Lord," she whispered, her heart brimming with hope, "have you truly remembered me?" With a deep resolve, Rachel approached Jacob and tenderly shared, "The time has come, for I sense the promise of your blessing upon me." Jacob's heart quickened, and he bore witness to the divine work, unveiling before him a legacy intertwined with God's purpose. Days flowed like rivers toward the inevitable, and when the hour struck, Rachel cried out in labor, her voice echoing through the camp, reaching the ears of her sisters and families drawn to the sacred moment. In the hallowed silence that enveloped her, she gave birth, naming her son Benjamin, the child of her sorrow turned joy. "The Lord has dealt graciously with me. From the depths of despair he has wrought my celebration," she proclaimed, her tears mingling between grief and elation. Yet, unbeknownst to them all, a shadow loomed, for Rachel's joy was intertwined with the fragile threads of fate. In her final breath, she whispered a prayer of blessing upon Benjamin, entrusting him to the Lord while expressing her love for the family she had long desired. And with that, a new chapter in the larger narrative unfolded, not just of motherhood, but of divine redemption. The legacy grew, as Leah too bore children. Zebulun and Issachar joined the fold, their births heralding the continued weaving of God's masterpiece, a nation designed to bear his name and blessings. As the sun shone on their encampments, Jacob marveled at God's faithfulness from one generation to the next, seeing the fruition of divine promises take root in his family's hearts. Together, they gathered to recount the sacred stories of God's hand upon their lives. "He has seen our struggles, and in our trials, a great inheritance shall emerge," Jacob declared passionately. "We are a people called to fulfill his promise and admonished to walk in his ways." In that moment of unity, Rachel's sons embraced their brothers' names and tales, creating a symphony of brotherhood woven from the fabric of their mother's aspirations, trials, and joys. Judah rose among them as a leader, proclaiming, "Through the blood of our mothers and the stories etched in our hearts, we are destined for greatness." And in all the quiet expressions of love and tenderness exchanged, Leah and Rachel's spirit soared, as they felt the warmth of the familial bond eclipsing their rivalry. "May we become vessels of unity rather than discord," Leah whispered to Rachel one glorious evening, the stars twinkling above like the covenants brightened by God's promise, threading their destinies together as one. God's purpose unfurled before their eyes. Not only had they birthed sons, but the foundational tribes that would grow to be illustrious nations, poised within the divine plan to reflect his glory. Jacob's household swelled with fruitfulness, and as days turned to months, the children learned the ways of the Lord, holding to the promises made from the heavens above. And so, with faith entwined in action, the tribes of Israel emerged, each son named like a story whispered into existence, overshadowing moments of rivalry with rays of grace. The fiery spirit of Rachel merged with Leah's steadfastness, creating a nurturing legacy that would serve to draw not just themselves but entire generations into the embrace of God's covenant. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the shadows that once filled their lives began to recede, revealing a future imbued with hope, a promise that resided not only in their lineage but also in every heart that dared to believe. In the end, their story became one of transformation, love, and divine redemption, echoing through the ages into a tale that would resonate beyond the tents of Jacob, reaching to the farthest corners of the earth. As the seasons rolled on and the world bore witness to the unfolding history shaped by their trials, Leah and Rachel became the mothers of a nation bound not only by their sorrows but triumphs, teaching a resounding truth, that from the depths of rivalry can bloom the most profound redemption. As the children of Israel gathered around the new altar, built in honor of the God who turned their mock battles into sacred legacies, the air vibrated with a conviction: we are His chosen ones. Thus, they dedicated their lives and generations to honoring the glories of the One who binds their hearts, whispering promises of a future yet bright with the unfolding love of their Creator. And now, standing on the precipice of this incredible story, we, too, are invited to embrace the promises woven into our own lives. For as the Scriptures unfold, let us remember that within the tensions of our struggles, God breathes life, creating from dust and dreams a tapestry far richer than we dare to imagine. If you've witnessed the power of God's Word through this story, this is the moment to help spread biblical truth. Subscribe immediately to stay connected to God's Word, because you need to hear what comes next. Leave a like now to ensure that God's transformative message resonates with souls through the algorithm. We want to hear from you. Comment below with your spiritual reflections and how this biblical story has impacted your faith. And don't wait even one more second to share this powerful testimony with at least 5 friends who need to hear the truth. Let us join together and bear witness to the remarkable impact of God's faithfulness across generations.